This the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will began to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that it is very same, that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It say, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an ending, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonderful and powerful works, ending in effects and signs. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Ka Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakat Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone, and rule with and a great example to his younger brothers in the truth, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Lord, when this edifying, listen, this is another edition of Measure by the Time diligently, and we're going to get straight into it.
A New Year's Day earthquake in California.
New video of a strong earthquake hitting Northern California yesterday morning.
5.4 magnitude quake hit near the community of Rio Del this morning. That's the same area that was hit by that magnitude 6.4 quake just 12 days ago.
Now, no reports of any major damage or injuries right now, but there were some power outages. The same area was hit with a strong quake last month. A 6.4 magnitude quake struck Rio Del.
This is the second earthquake to strike the region in less than 3 weeks. The last one happened on December 20th. In that one, 2 people were killed. Meanwhile, heavy rain washed out the area. Take a look at this video.
Tonight, a state of emergency in California where tens of millions are under flood and wind alerts as yet another major storm, a bomb cyclone, as forecasters describe it, threatens the state.
By daylight, the sheer magnitude of the storm's destruction across California.
This is Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And that's what we get. That's what we're seeing in the earth. The Lord is visiting the earth with these different earthquakes, storms, weather, and even if Esau is using his technology to cause these things to happen, Esau other nations using their technology to cause these things to happen. Guess what? The Lord is in control of these nations, man. The king heart is in the hand of the Lord, and he steer whatsoever he will, rough paraphrasing. The Lord is in control of what's going on. It's orchestrating through the angels the things that are happening upon the earth, man. So the Lord is doing these things, not Esau, not Moab, not Putin, not Joe Biden. No, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai is causing everything to happen on the earth that's happening, man. Small and great. To the very minute thing that happened in the earth, the Lord is in control of it, man.
California became clear. Tidal surges.
This is probably up there with 19, some of the storms 20, 30 years ago with the amount of trees down.
Which received the equivalent of 1 month's worth of rainfall in less than 24 hours.
Now in a state of emergency, this is exactly what California is bracing for. The brunt of a new winter storm forecasted to be potentially more powerful than the system that triggered daring rescues, widespread flooding, and washed out roads.
This satellite imagery shows the enormity of the storm as it slammed into the western U.S., blanketing California, the latest in a series of back-to-back atmospheric rivers. Hurricane-force wind gusts blowing the canopy off this gas station just south of San Francisco.
And because California was just crushed by a storm a few days ago, even a few inches of rain could be catastrophic.
This is an extreme weather event, and we're moving from extreme drought to extreme flood.
A storm system powerful enough to strand drivers, trigger landslides, and swallow roads again.
More than 5 inches of rain in total fell, setting a new daily record for the city of San Francisco.
But in this case, we're talking about California.
This the book of Psalms 148 and verse 8. It say fire and hail, snow and vapor, stormy winds, fulfilling his words. Yeah, because the Lord is in control of all these things, man. The Lord brings judgment on the earth, man. You know, and we only at the beginning of these things. So let's get this in Matthew. Like, we only at the beginning of sorrows, man. We ain't seen a nothing yet, man, compared to the death and destruction, you know, that the Lord is finna bring in the earth, man. It's gonna get way worse, you know. It's gonna get way more dramatic, way more chaotic. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, his disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, saying they are anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. And that's the time. This is the time we in right now. We hearing of wars, rumors of wars, you know, but we not troubled. Why? Because we know that the war to end all wars, World War III, is not gonna happen until what? Until the MOTB get implemented. You know, that device they want to put into your hand, that implantable microchip. You know, World War III ain't gonna happen until that is established in the earth. You know, that is I don't want to say forced, but pushed into the earth on the mass level, causing all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. You know, it say, see that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Verse 7, Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So what it said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And we are seeing these things happening now, man. And these things been going on for shit a long time, man. The things that Matthew, that's how we know we in the end days, and we been in the end, you know. Hell, I ain't number 28, but the whole since these things been happening in the earth, cause to us 28 years feel like a long time, 30, 40 years feel like a long, 50 years feel like a long time, but to the Lord that ain't no time, man. You know, so just cause things been happening, shit, the last past 3, 4, 5 years I've been in the truth. You know, I think it's 4 going on 5 or 5 going on something like that, or just hit 5, whatever. It don't matter. We've been hearing of wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, famines. We've been hearing of these things, you know, and they're just gonna intensify more and more until the Lord, you know, pull up, send His Son, till the Lord send Yahushua. But they say all these are the beginning of sorrows, and we only in the beginning of sorrows. So back to the video.
Experiencing historic droughts despite all this devastation. Is the rain helping? This is near the same area that's recovering from a 6.4 magnitude quake that killed 2 people last month.
The epicenter about 200 miles north of San Francisco.
As we felt here, there's been over 50 aftershocks since the initial 6.4 earthquake.
A strong earthquake rattling people out of bed there in the middle of the night. The 6.4 magnitude quake hitting just after 2:30 a.m. local time. The epicenter, as you can see here, just off the coast, about 8 miles west of Ferndale, California. Some video on social media shows shelves and furniture falling to the ground.
Also, more than 30 aftershocks were felt soon after, including a 4.6. Now, this happened about 200 miles north of San Francisco.
Things that woke you up this morning. How about the magnitude 3.6 earthquake that struck in El Cerrito north of Berkeley?
We don't have any reports of damage from this, but a lot of people got woken up by this, especially if you were anywhere over here and you know If you live over there, you are right on the Hayward Fault. And just in the last 2 years, we talked about another earthquake centered in El Cerrito, about the same intensity. So these have been fairly common and expected.
Devin Feely spoke with one man who caught the quake on camera.
It was a very strong and sudden jolt, abrupt.
The security cameras at Andrew Shalaby's El Cerrito home captured the quake, which rattled the refrigerator and cabinets in the kitchen and shook the Christmas tree and ornaments in the living room.
I didn't know what happened. It felt like a bomb went off. Everything shook. Not like a rolling earthquake that starts kind of gradual and rolls. This just was abrupt instantly, and it felt a whole lot stronger than a 3.6.
A mega tsunami, as recreated by the National Tsunami Warning Center.
In 1700 AD, there was one on the same scale and size as that Japan earthquake in 2011 or the one in the Indian Ocean a few years before that.
There's the potential to have much, much larger earthquakes.
UC Santa Barbara's professor Alex Sims researches ancient earthquakes and tsunamis based on ground-penetrating radar and drilled core examinations.
From that, we know that, about every 300 to 500 years is when one of these really big earthquakes happens.
It's now been over 500 years since a North Coast megaquake wrought both massive ground destruction and giant tsunamis.
100 feet is entirely plausible, more or less in given local regions, depending on kind of the local details. Many of our coastal communities are certainly at risk of dozens of feet of water.
In the past 90 years, there have been at least 40 other earthquakes of magnitude 6 or larger, 6 of which were magnitude 7 or larger.
Yeah, and if a tsunami happen, guess what? The Lord say He created the sea, that they don't pass the bounds. So if the sea ever passed the bounds of the sand, and you can have tsunamis and things like, guess who did it, man? The Lord orchestrating all things, man. Whether He doing it, through the angels Himself, or He doing it through the devil and Satan, that old serpent, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man.
All within 150 miles of Tuesday's event. So, if it sounds as though the North Coast is sitting on top of a geological time bomb, the comparison is a fair one.
A recent study suggests the Golden State must also prepare for a large flood event. For more on this, here's Stephanie Sy.
Scientists call it a mega flood or mega storm. 30 days of...
Yeah, and this Esau prophesying on the left-hand side, this nigga must be trying to conjure something up. Or, one of these other nations getting ready to attack the United States through they, different weather technology, and ain't nothing they can do about it. So they warning on the left-hand side,
Continuous moderate to severe rain and snow covering wide swaths of land. They haven't had one of these in California since 1862, but a new study says climate change is increasing the likelihood of another one hitting the state. The study authors say Californians could expect a month-long series of storms. Daniel, I grew up in California, and we've been preparing for the so-called big one, referring to earthquakes, since I was a kid. Put into context how much Californians should worry about this and prepare for it.
Well, coincidentally enough, one of the terms for a modern mega flood in California is California's, quote, other big one, literally the other kind of major disaster.
And that's pretty much the point. Lord willing, it's edifying. I want to end to giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh, Bahasham, Rakakadash. Once again, double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone. Rule Webb and a great example to the other brothers in the truth. Peace and blessings to the whole elect. Shalom. Kwame Yashala, Shalom.